research into how the human brain works is inspiring classroom techniques and activities. Accelerated learning and multiple intelligences draw broadly on our growing knowledge of the brain.
Probably within the next 10 years, virtually all schools will consider learning how to learn, mind mapping, reading, learning thinking skills and so on, just to be a normal part of the curriculum. In the way we think of standard note-taking now as normal, this new field will become normal within 10 to 15 years.
Tony Bazan is a popular and widely read author on learning and the brain. In March 2004, Tony hosted a day of workshops and seminars which introduced staff and children from Kent to whole brain accelerated learning techniques.
Leonardo da Vinci said that two things had to be done, numbering two. One was that you had to develop your senses. So to teach a child, you had to develop all the child's senses. The second was you had to realize that everything connects in some way to everything else. The different things that we are now finding out about the brain it's not just memory. It's the fundamental building blocks for how our brains work. It's all the senses that we need to be looking after and nurturing with the children. It's all the intelligences.
How many senses do we have? 5. Some people believe in 6.
Kaz White, a presenter from educational training outfit Positively Mad, gave a demonstration of multi-sensory teaching methods.
First of all, there are 5 senses that we use a little bit all of the time. Of those 5 senses, there are 3 that we use the most for learning stuff. However, of those 3, there is likely to be one that you have a personal preference for. Now, the one that you prefer might be different to the person next to you. People have an individual preference which affects how they learn. Let me show you what I mean. Some people learn best by what they see. Some people like to look at things, they like to picture things, they like to see just what it looks like. These people are called visual learners. What are they called?
Visual learners.
Fantastic, but I tell you what, not everybody learns that way. Other people learn quite differently. Other people learn best by what they hear. Fantastic, they like listening, they like talking, they like listening, they like talking. These people are called auditory learners. What are they called?
Auditory.
Brilliant, but I tell you what, not everybody learns that way either. There's another group of people, and sometimes we've forgotten about them in the past. But these people learn in a different way, and it's important to make sure we remember them as well. These people learn best by what they by what they do, by what they touch, by what they feel. These people like a little bit of action. When they get a little bit of action, they get a little bit of activity, learning is much, much easier. And they've got a cool name. They're called kinesthetic learners. What are they called?
Kinesthetic learners.
Fantastic.
We know that the brain has multiple ways of processing information, and that as human beings, unless we suffer brain damage, we all have the capacity to process information in different ways. So we're not simply specific types of learner, a visual learner, a verbal learner, a kinesthetic learner, although we may have preferred styles of learning. It doesn't mean to say that we should emphasize the styles of learning that we seem to prefer. We need to exercise all styles of learning, and teaching and learning that focuses on multiple ways of learning will in the end cater for the needs of a mixed ability class more successfully.
And to me, if I want everybody to learn, the best thing I can do is do a little bit of all 3. If I do all 3, everybody gets to learn, and learning becomes memorable for everybody. So that's what we're going to do right now. Right now, we're going to learn something using all 3. Can I just check, can anybody here count to 10 in Japanese? Ooh, a couple of people. I tell you what, we're going to make sure everybody here can count to 10 in Japanese, including all of the adults. Now, first of all, we're going to do it in an auditory way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the number in English, and then I'm going to ask you to say the number in Japanese back to me when I say it. So number 1, ichi.
Ichi.
Number 2, ni.
Ni.
Number 3, san.
San.
Number 4, she. Number 5, go. Number 6, roku. Number 7, shichi. Number 8, hachi. Number 9, ku. Number 10, ju. Now, that's one way to do it, but I reckon we can have a little more fun with that. Can everybody imagine they are Japanese sumo wrestlers? And I want you to say, ichi! Ichi! It does feel good. You can try it. Ni! Ni! San! San! Shi! Shi! Go! Go! Roku! Roku! Shichi! Shichi! Hachi! Hachi! Ku! Ku! Ju! Ju! Very good. This time, imagine you're a posh lady going to a show. Boys in your high voices, men as well, thanks. Here we go. Itchy. Itchy. Knee. Knee. Son. Son. She. She. Go. Go. Roku. Roku. Shitty. Shitty. Hachi. Hachi. Ku. Ku. Ju. Ju. Gorgeous, darling. Gorgeous, darling. Now, all those people who are more auditory, you guys are starting to feel quite happy because you heard me say the words, you heard everybody else say the words, and even better, you said the words yourselves.
One of the main problems for education around the world is the teachers are leaving it in droves. Now, why? Because they're tired, they're stressed, they're bored on many levels. And one of the reasons why is that they're using teaching techniques which are not congruent with the way the brain works. So the children get bored, the teacher gets bored, then the teacher leaves and the children leave, and then we say something's wrong. Education cannot be like that. Everybody knows that the baby learns, that everybody who takes up a new hobby is passionate and excited. It's what learning is all about, is passion and excitement.
The visual people, you're like, Kaz, you said we were going to do something visual. I need something to look at. I need something to look at, I need something to visualise, and then I can get this much more easily. So for the visual people, on the next flip chart are the numbers 1 to 10. Next to the numbers are the words in Japanese. When I turn the page, I want you to repeat them after me. Here we go. Number 1.
Multisensory pedagogies are supported by research which reveals that seeing and hearing together works better than just seeing something and then just hearing it. Professor John Geek studies images of the active brain.
Well, the interesting thing about the brain is that it's wired for multisensory processing. A lot of the work being done in Oxford about multimodal processing has found that there are projections from the different sensory parts of the brain to each other. So the auditory cortex here talks to the visual cortex, and the visual cortex talks to the motor cortex, and so on.
Right now, you need a little bit of activity, because if you do a little bit of activity, it's going to make this so much easier. So can everybody take their hand in the air, please? Everybody, and here we go. What I'd like you to do for number 1 and 2, I want you to say, scratch your itchy knee. Everybody, scratch your itchy knee. One more time. Scratch your itchy knee. Fantastic. Now I want you to imagine it was actually happening earlier. The sun is coming through the window, so point to a window and say, san. San. And then politely point to a woman and say, she. She. Let's put 3 and 4 together. We have san, she. One more time.
San, she.
Nicely done. Hand in the air from the top. Scratch your itchy knee. San, she. Now, number 5 is go. It's not quite time to go, but I want you to make a small, subtle movement towards the door as if to go. Everybody? Go. Stay there. Imagine you're a 1970s rock guitarist. And I want you to rock. Everybody? Rock! Fantastic. Let's do 5 and 6 together. We're going to go, rock! Brilliant. Let's go back to the top. Number 1. Hand in the air.
These new pieces of information, these new knowledges that are pouring off the brain presses are actually saying the child learns more when it's having fun and when the teacher's having fun. The child learns more when imagination and association are involved. the child learns more when its multiple senses and multiple intelligences are involved.
So now we've got the Roku and there's Shichi. I want you to imagine you've got a very twitchy nose. Twitchy nose, and it's going to make you do a double sneeze on both sides of your hand. You're going to go Shichi. Everybody?
Shichi.
Ooh, your hand is covered in slimy stuff. Wipe it, not on your friend, on your own. Hachi. Everybody?
Hachi.
So 7 and 8 together we have Shichi, Hachi. One more time. Shichi, Hachi. Back to number 5. We're going to go, Roku, Shichi, Hachi. From the top, hand in the air. Scratch your itchy knee. San, shi. Go, Roku, Shichi, Hachi. Now, number 9 and 10. Number 9, I want you to imagine there's a beautiful flock of doves flying about the room. I want you to call one down by going, coo. Everybody? Coo. Now, grab one, because they're made of toffee. Take a bite. Instead of saying chew, I want you to go Jew for number 10. Everybody? Jew. So 9 and 10 together. We have coo, Jew. One more time. Coo, Jew. That's looking good. From number 7, the double sneeze, we have Shichi, Hachi, coo, Jew. Back to number 5. Number 5, we're going to go, Roku, Shichi, Hachi.
We know that simply working with a computer, or simply working through writing, or simply working through copying from the board, or simply working through a series of examples is not sufficient to fully engage the cognitive functions and all areas of intelligence. We need to have multiple ways of challenging children and of presenting and communicating what we've learnt to each other. So a brain-based approach is a multisensory approach because that mirrors what we know of human thinking and how the brain works.
I have an incredible memory.
I'd like you to take the hand, I'd like you to shake the other hand and say, well done me.
Well done me.
Research into the way the brain works points to the need for integrated thinking. The model, which separates right brain and left brain functions, has been superseded by evidence that interconnectivity is the key to better learning.
The secret behind everything we're doing this morning is the entire morning we are going to use both sides of our brain. Because when you use both sides of the brain, learning is much faster and much easier. We're going to do group information using colour. We're going to use keywords and pictures and we're going to put it all together. And we're going to put it all together in a special way, and that's called a mind map. Has anybody here heard of a mind map?
Mind mapping is a graphic technique which is claimed to offer learners an overview of a large subject in an efficient, enjoyable and memorable way.
Now this is a mind map of Marco Polo. Has anybody here heard of a country called China? Fantastic. Anybody heard of Marco Polo? Nice one. A few people know a few things. I'll tell you what, we're going to find out all about him. Now, first of all, Marco Polo, his last name has been drawn like a packet of... Do you think they had polos 700 years ago? No, but they probably wish they did. But it helps us remember his name because it's a little bit strange. Now, Marco Polo travelled to China when he was 17 years old. Marco Polo travelled to China when he was 17 years old. That journey took him 3.5 years just to get there. A long time to travel. 3.5 years just to get there. It was a total distance of 5,600 miles. How many miles was it?
5,600.
Excellent, thank you. Now, he went with his father and his uncle. This is his father and this is his uncle. And they had to cross the Gobi Desert. Now, when I first heard that, I hadn't actually heard of it before. And I thought, how can I remember that? This is what I did. I want you to imagine you have a bee in front of you. Bzzz, and then you want to point to the bee, point to a door, and I want everybody to go, bee, everybody, go, bee.